Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salah, hayya ala salah, hayya ala falah, hayya ala falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Walillahi alhamd. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب واحلم يجعل له عوجا أحمده سبحانه وتعالى وأشكره وهو أهل حمد وثناء وأشهد أن لا إله إلا وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله ومصطفى اللهم صل وسلم على عبدك ورسولك محمد وأهله وصحبه وسلم. Alhamdulillah bil alamin. We thank Allah Almighty always, because Allah Almighty, if we are awakened and if we are asking, Allah Almighty is giving. We have the month of Ramadan coming in next week. And I think people, they take Ramadan very, very lightly. They only see Ramadan as they are fasting from halal drinks, halal food, and they are not doing the daylight hours, and they're not procreating, staying away from carnal desires during the daylight hours. All of the prophets, may Allah be pleased with all of them, they were ordered to fast. We have to understand that this life, we are on an adventure in this life. And the enemy of humanity, Shaitan, who did not bow down to Adam, and because he wanted to be Allah Almighty's representative, he is still angry with the descendants of Adam, and he's interfering with the adventure of human beings. And the whole purpose why Allah Almighty brought human beings in this existence. There were the jinn, they were existing from a smokeless fire. There were angels created from light, existing. And Allah Almighty had to pen to continue to write. And Allah Almighty brought human beings. Human beings were like aliens to the other beings that had been created. And the way that the human beings were created was different. And here Allah takes from the loins of our father and puts in the womb of our mother to be nurtured for so many months. Some of us, we don't make it through the womb, through the gestation. Some of us, the sperms do not reach to the egg of the mother. And so those who survive the nurturing in the womb and then they were born, and those continue to survive that birth, and they go on and they survive to be adolescents, to be teenagers, to be young adults, to go into ripe old age. There is an adventure and a purpose for them being here, because Allah Almighty decided that this sperm would be here. And in that adventure, so many situations happening, so many circumstances happening. Just like the oxygen coming into our bodies from all different directions, thoughts are also coming to our minds from all places, all kinds of places. And yet, Allah Almighty has put it in us to, we don't take all of the oxygen that's in the world. We take only that oxygen that is enough for our bodies. Also, those thoughts that Allah Almighty is sending, we cannot take all the thoughts in. We only can take those thoughts in that are tailor-made for our purpose. So how do we know this? This is why Allah Almighty created prophets. Prophets, Allah Almighty ordered them to fast so that they would be the best of people evolved for mankind, because they're thinking their oxygen, their breaths are numbered. They don't waste their breaths, and the thoughts that coming to them, they're not distracted by those thoughts that keep them from their purpose, because Allah Almighty has created them to be guidance, to be a guidance to humanity, and to remind humanity that all thoughts are not good thoughts. And so Allah Almighty have us to fast during Ramadan against those things that are lawful. The things that we drink are lawful, that the food that we eat are lawful, and in lawful relationships, Allah Almighty is saying, no procreation during daylight hours. Stay away from your carnal desires during the daylight hours. Allah Almighty is training us to be disciplined, because discipline is the rocket that takes us up into divine presence to receive our inheritance, to be able to represent Allah Almighty on earth as it is in heaven. So, Shaitan, whom Allah Almighty raised, did not obey Allah Almighty's order when He said bow down to Adam, because he was thinking he was better than Adam, because he was from a smokeless fire and Adam was from clay. But Allah Almighty put into Adam the wherewithal to know the names and natures of all things, and to be able to recognize Allah Almighty in Himself, and later learn how to recognize Shaitan in himself. To stay in accordance with why Allah Almighty allowed this sperm drop to be nurtured in our mother's womb, to come out and to bring the thoughts in that they needed, not waste their time with their breaths, and be able to be on purpose, doing what they needed to do without being distracted to do what they did not need to do. And so those people, as Allah Almighty sends them guidance, they recognize guidance. Why do they recognize guidance? Because Allah Almighty said on the Day of Promises, I will not leave you without guidance. We promise to be obedient servants. How do you become obedient servant if we don't know how to be an obedient servant? So we didn't know that Allah Almighty would drop us in the place that our grandparents failed to. They fell from felicity into hell. We are born in hell to return to felicity. But the only way that can happen is through guidance. That's why those human beings that were fasting were able to fast from lawful things so that afterwards they will gain the power to fast from unlawful things, to fast from unlawful thoughts, to fast from unlawful actions, to fast from unlawful foods. Because there has to be purification. Allah says purification is half of our faith. We cannot keep the purity if we don't know what purification is. So Allah Almighty sent those guides whom He raised up. All guides, all prophets were raised up. All prophets came through the womb of a mother. All prophets, they were also chosen as from the sperm of their father to be nurtured in their mother and given step by step guidance as they begin to seek, oh my Lord, if you don't guide me, there is no guidance. It's in the human being's DNA, spiritual DNA, to seek their Lord. Our physical DNA, we can trace our physical ancestors through our physical DNA, and you may resemble your uncle or ancestors. Maybe you may resemble an ancestor hundreds, maybe thousands of years ago through the DNA. Maybe somebody can get your picture and show it to your great-great-great-great-great, and you look exactly like them, just certain differences. We can't deviate from that. But our spiritual DNA is from Allah Almighty. We cannot deviate from that if we are following guidance. With our physical DNA, they say, well, okay, you might have this disease, you might have this disease because your parents had this disease. But if one changes their diet, they change their routine. And one thing about fasting, fasting is a purification of one's cells. It cleans out your cells all of your systems in your body, all of your organs in your body, the blood that runs through our body. So it purifies us so that our bodies may be healthy. It's a difference between people who have been fasting and people who have not been fasting. Those who have not been fasting, they're going to hold many, many toxins in their body. They may incur many, many diseases and many, many illnesses. Yes, we're similar to them in terms of the DNA, the physical DNA. And because they had something that was erratic or against the health of that person, does that mean that we also have to endure such unhealthy lifestyle by being a sick individual? With our spiritual DNA, if you don't follow the guidance that Allah Almighty gives us to stay disciplined and to stay guided and to allow your time to be wasted in your day, everyone has the same 24 hours. There's some who excel others. Allah said the prophets represent the best in you. Shaitan represents the worst in you. This is why there's always a conflict with great people and mediocre people. The mediocre people don't like the great people don't like the mediocre people because they don't think alike. It's like the people that are used to eating health foods and healthy things for their body, sitting with somebody eating junk food, there's always going to be a conflict. You should be eating this because it's going to be healthier. You have to mind your business. I like what I'm eating. You got to die from something until they start to die and think about, wow, I wish I could have, should have, would have. This is how we think with guidance. We're here to be disciplined. Allah Almighty has sent us here on this journey, on this adventure, to be guided so that we may represent Him on all levels, mentally, physically, spiritually, on all levels. To be the best of people evolved for mankind. We're not prophets, but we can still do and guide people the way the prophets guided us. If you've gotten good nutrition from someone and you're practicing good nutrition, you can teach good nutrition to people. You don't have to be a nutritionist. Just have the knowledge and you're practicing the knowledge. And you just teach what you learn. And that's all it is. But obviously we're learning something that's against us, that we're not able to reach the full potential of our existence here. We're into everything. We're into everything. Because then we take guidance lightly. We may take something and don't accept the other guidance. When you go to your doctor and they give you a prognosis, a diagnosis, then a prognosis to relieve you from an infection, they say take this antibiotic until the bottle is finished. We finish it. If you don't finish it, what happens is that you don't kill that infection or that bacteria, then it comes back. It's the way it is with guidance. When you don't follow guidance, you can't take half the guidance, because what's going to happen is that our behavior is going to return to that that's going to give us a bad life, a miserable life. We're going to be eating the wrong foods that's going to harm our bodies. We're going to have the wrong thoughts in our minds that's going to harm our souls and make our lives difficult. Allah Almighty did not bring us here from a hidden place to be ordinary, to be mediocre. We think that, then we are going to expect a rude awakening soon. Because whatever happens on the planet, Allah Almighty has people around the planet that they are responsible for what happens in the heavens and on the earth. Even though the antagonist, Shaitan, is around and about, keeping us from doing what we do. In spite of that, Allah Almighty still threatens us to get it done. To get it done. Because people have to have guidance in order to live the kind of life that Allah Almighty has brought them here for. And if we're not living that kind of life, Allah Almighty threatens us and says, why? And so when we die, we're in the grave, Allah asks us, what did we do with our time? Those breaths that I gave you, what did you do with those breaths? Those thoughts that I sent to you, how did you respond to those thoughts? What did you do with your time? What did you enjoy? See, Allah sent us here to enjoy ourselves, but to stay disciplined so that we may be able to fight that keeps humanity from reaching to their Lord. We're supposed to be the vanguard for people who have not yet been guided to be vanguards, to teach other people to be vanguards. When you learn, you have to teach. You don't learn and don't teach. This is when problems come on us. Then we're waiting to die. Allah takes some people early because they they're not going to follow guidance. Our mercy is to take them before they have so many sins, it just be horrible, too horrible for them in the next life. So Allah calls them back. Allah knows who is who. How? Because He created. He is the creator. He knows what we're going to do. He knows what we're not going to do. All difficulties come from us. Because it's a choice. If we choose to eat the wrong kinds of foods, there is a process, there is a reciprocal of what we eat. What we eat is what we become. If you eat junk food, the body becomes junk. If you eat the right kind of food, your body becomes the right kind of body. Then it can follow the commands of a mind that's guided. A sick believer and a healthy believer are not equal. A wealthy believer and a poor believer are not equal. I said believers, not people. Because Allah Almighty says that the one person that you can lawfully envy is someone who is wealthy and gives of their wealth, and someone who's knowledgeable and gives of their knowledge. But these are healthy people. When the Muslims had to defend themselves, they weren't weak Muslims defending. These were powerful people. These were strong, disciplined minds, strong bodies. Witness can do nothing. Witness does nothing but sit idly by and wait to die, to be put under the ground. Because it's already started to stink. We're not fulfilling our purpose. We have already started to stink like we're dead. I said stink like we did, not think like we did. Stink like we did. And we get the reflection. Watch who you listen to. Watch who you hang around. Look who you're hanging around. Because who you hang around with is a reflection of you. You're not powerful enough to change the environment, then something's wrong. If we run into mosques, churches, and synagogues and we're saying we're righteous people, then we should be able to create a righteous environment. When Allah Almighty sent Isa ibn Maryam, Jesus Christ, may Allah be pleased with him. Of all those that Allah Almighty sent in the world, he was the one that was most misunderstood. Allah Almighty sent 124,000 prophets, Old Testament, New Testament. But yet the world stops 2,000 years ago at Isa ibn Maryam, Jesus Christ, who was not the last prophet, that he said that after him will come someone that will bring the laws of Moses and have the spirit of Jesus, the Holy Spirit. And yet we think, and we've been taught, and Shaitan has tricked us, that he was killed on a doggone cross. There was someone among him, Judas, who was around him and pretended to be with him. So you can be around holiness and not become holy because you ain't thinking right. You taking the wrong thoughts. He thought he was the end-all be-all. It's the same illusion as a magnet. You put any kind of metal next to a magnet, it becomes magnetized, and it can magnetize. But you take that piece of metal too long away from the magnet, the source of that magnetism, it becomes weak. He thought that because he was around Jesus Christ, Esau ibn Maryam, he was equal to Jesus Christ. He didn't see the value of him. He didn't know who he was and whose he was because he didn't know who he was and whose he was. So he sold his soul for a miserable price. Esau ibn Maryam, Jesus Christ was bringing so much havoc, he was changing the kingdom of Shaitan on earth. And the whole system and the kingdom of Shaitan. And they wanted to kill him. And this person who now thought that he was going to take over Jesus' spot because he was around him and he had seen some of the things that he did. Now he thought he had that power. But here's what happened. That the world has failed to look at and to know. It was not Jesus Christ on that cross. It was that traitor that was on that cross. This is why Jesus Christ, Esau ibn Maryam, is returning to clear his name. He says, oh Allah, you know, I never attributed these things to myself, as these people are saying. I brought the dead from the back to life by your leave. I brought the table spread and I healed people by your leave. I never attribute this to myself. We can understand the misunderstanding because Allah Almighty made Judas to appear like he was Jesus. To make it appear like Jesus' face, but it was Judas's body. They are secrets. Human beings don't know everything. Allah hides his secrets. Allah Almighty keeps his secrets for his intimates. They know. Everyone is tested. That's the biggest test. When someone is really seeking their Lord sincerely, Allah Almighty reveals the secrets to them. And the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was given that secret. And it was revealed in the Quran in its original Semitic language, Arabic language. And people say, well, why are these people that believe that Jesus was on the cross, why do they get blessings? Because they are sincere people. Most of them are sincere people. Allah Almighty rewards sincerity. But as the prayers go up, the angels change it to correct it. We're in that time for returning for Esau ibn Maryam.
Takbir! Allahu Akbar!
Those who are fake will be discarded. We're in the time now. And we're asking Allah Almighty to be with those people. That Allah Almighty is sending on the planet now to bring about the abundance of heaven and earth on earth. Shall be on earth as it is in heaven. And Esau ibn Maryam, Jesus Christ, will be among those people. People will see him manifested physically, not not in a way of imagination, but physically manifested. And to hear him. This time he's coming with a sword. That you thought he was on a cross, that's a sword. That wasn't him, but he's coming with a sword this time. To redeem his name, because he was misunderstood. Allah Almighty is merciful. And the world will see what they're about to see. Allah Tawfiq al-Fatiha. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, wa lillahi alhamd. Alhamdulillahi bil alamin, wa salatu wa salamu ala karil muslimin, Muhammadin wa ali, Nabi, Ummi wa ahlihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, amma ba'd. Just like that magnet, that when a piece of metal is around and next to that magnet, it becomes magnetized. This is how Allah Almighty servant, the best of people, evolve for mankind. They're like a power source. When we're around them, we take on that energy. Well, let us not get it twisted. We still have to take from them that energy. Once we think that we have arrived and we may be as we like, do as we like, we lose that power and we become like Judas. Now we're subjected to Shaitan seducing our ego to think that we are partners to our Lord. Don't fall into that trap. That is a trick and a trap of Satan. When Allah Almighty sends us among those people, you lock into those people. Those are our salvation. Amen. Foolish people lose this. And when they lose this, Shaitan whispers in their ear and says, you got it. You the one. And they don't. They lose their obedience and they become normal again. Normal it means you're rubbish. Because Allah Almighty's people are the best of people evolved for mankind. They're the only ones that have the ability to bring Allah Almighty to Allah Almighty. Because Allah Almighty is with them. They see with the eyes of their Lord. They speak with the tongue of their Lord. They hear with the ears of their Lord. They strike with the hands of their Lord. They move with the feet of their Lord. Their Lord possesses them. Because they're listening to their Lord. They become the message that they bring. And we're asking to be with them. Otherwise, we're finished. We're finished. ومن الله توفيق الفاتحة بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين قد قامت الصلاة